So today is day 19 of the D-Rose. Oh, it's day 20 now? We missed yesterday. Well, let's just start the review then. All right, so as I was saying, D-Rose Sneaker Challenge, day 20, So we got a review here for y'all to look at. It's a pair of D-Rose shoes. Now you can tell by this box, this is a regular Adidas box, right? Well, that means it's not a Rose and a Shy, it's not a Restomod, it's not a Rose 3 through a Rose 7. It's a different shoe. Well, I guess you could just also read the title too and you'd know that it's a Rose 11. And we're gonna be taking a look at this like icy colorway of the Rose 11s. This colorway to me is what I think of when I think about those Rose 7s that came out that had that icy colorway on it that everyone really loved, that was also seen on like the Son of Shy ones. This is that same colorway but put on the Rose 11 silhouette and model. So I haven't reviewed a Rose 11 in a while, guys, and so something I always find funny is that when I go back and look at the tech features in the shoes, I kind of forget what's in each shoe, and it takes me a moment to kind of regain my bearings. But that's only for like the more modern D-Rose shoes. We're talking like the Rose 1 through like the Rose 3 or even like the Rose 4s. I, for some reason, remember those a lot more than I do like stuff like the 11s, even though I play in the 11s much more recently. But I will say what I do remember from these is like my performance thoughts on them and things of that nature. So let's kind of just get right into some of the text about this shoe. So the upper on this shoe is like a netted mesh upper, but with the Adi Zero branding on here, I've always just called this like the most recent generation of Sprint Web because it's super lightweight and breathable, but it does have that same aesthetic look to it as like later generations of Sprint Web would have. You have this woven toe box piece, which is a different material than the rest of the upper, and that woven toe box actually has this tape running in here that basically is used as a way to connect these material pieces together, and also is a callback to being on the Rose 4s and how that toe box model is set up with the fusing of the different materials and layers. When it comes to your ankle collar back here, you have this like padded collar that basically, again, like one like say like, oh, it's GeoFit, but it's not a GeoFit collar for certain. At least I don't see that. Remember that being any like actual call outs, but it's just a nicely padded collar piece, which is cool. You do have the D-Rose logo here in the back, along with the Rose 11 there on the side as well too. You have this cage piece right here, which is actually works as part of like a torsional system as well for this shoe that wraps back from the heel up here through the forefoot, and that is also to help make the carrier of the midsole foam, which is Light Strike, be more stable and supportive. When you look at the outsole for this shoe, you have an outsole that is a wave bone pattern, and this is the outsole that's taken directly from the Rose 7s. Rose 7s being one of my favorite traction setups of any D-Rose shoe ever. The 11s having that same traction pattern is something I really appreciate, similar to how the Son of Shy 1 and 2s have the traction pattern from the Rose 4 and 4.5s, which I think is cool. But the things that you will notice about this outsole that's a little bit different from the Rose 7s is it does say Rose on it with the 3 stripes for the E. You do have 4 stars here on the back, which are meant to represent the stars and the Chicago flag. But then you also have this piece right here, which deals again with the torsional support for the shoe and basically how like the Light Strike here is implemented with these coordinates on here. And these coordinates, if I'm not mistaken, are for the New York-based operations for, I think, the Adidas design team at the time that the Rose 11s were being made. The upper on the shoe too, where it comes like this tongue, it connects to a booty inside of it that ends up helping you encase and wrap around your foot. The lacing system on it is a thing that's like, it's hit or miss. It's not a horrible thing, it's not the best thing, but it's not horrible again by any means. I remember the Rose 11s, when I played them for the first time, they were a shoe that I was really excited to play in because it really kind of brought back that classic feeling of a Rose model where I felt like performance-wise they were doing really, really good. The 10s were pretty decent, but the 11s I liked a lot more. The other thing that I will say though that was interesting about this shoe that kind of had me feeling some type of way at the time, and I still don't necessarily feel one way or the other with it, but this shoe does implement a midsole that's from another shoe. And that shoe that this actually pulls from is the Adidas Next Level. So if anyone remembers what the Adidas Next Level is, you can look it up online and find different pictures of it. But it was an Adidas basketball shoe that used Light Strike for the midsole and had a whole one-piece upper. Had no laces on it. Basically, it was meant to work like a sock, and you pull it on your foot. Your foot's supposed to basically be locked in based on how tightly woven that upper is on it. And that basically is how you get all your support for the shoe, but no laces, none of that. Some people love them, some people don't, some people hated them, some people thought they were okay. I was kind of weirded out, but I also kind of just knew, I mean, again, I don't know for certain it was a thing that maybe like Derek himself wanted, but I thought it was interesting that using, reusing the tooling from that shoe for this shoe, because when it comes to this midsole piece and even the cage part as well, all that's taken straight from that shoe. The next level ones have this exact same setup, and then even when it comes down to the outsole, the difference is the traction pattern itself is a little bit different, but this cutout piece there is the exact same as well too. And so it was kind of something that was kind of like, I don't know if I really like that, I don't know if I really hate it, but it was a thing. That regardless of anything else, it was a thing. And some people, like I said, really didn't like that. I just always thought it was kind of weird. And the Light Strike, it's not that Light Strike isn't comfortable, but I just never thought Light Strike was super responsive. The longer I played in my Rose 11s, the more I kind of was like I liked a lot of the features of them, but like I really felt like going back to the 7s or even like the 10s, I kind of want to go back to as well, but I felt like, these were like at least a little bit more stable to some degree than the 10s, but again, it just kind of like is a hit or miss thing. It all depends like you and your play style and what you like most. But the Rose 11s, guys, was a cool shoe. I mean, I really did enjoy Adidas really bringing back some of the pieces that, people really enjoyed from some prior Roses shoes, mainly being the outsole. But it was interesting to see them reutilize tooling from another Adidas basketball shoe for the Rose model, but not make too many tweaks to it. All that being said, it wasn't unprecedented for Adidas to do this. We've talked about before this month, but on the Rose 4s, they technically basically did something very similar, where they took very similar tooling from the Adidas Crazy Quicks and implemented that in the Rose 4s, just with a little bit beefier setup. You could say the same thing here, except the only real difference is that it's not necessarily a beefier setup or anything like that. And it's not a different use of foam, but it is a different traction pattern for the outsole. But still very similar to what was on those next levels. But yeah, these shoes are really cool. I want to thank my buddy Wayne. You guys have seen him before on the channel to do some reviews with me and stuff, talking about like the Ultra Boost and things of that nature. This is a pair of his Rose 11s that he let me borrow for a review this month, just because I needed another shoe. Tomorrow we'll be back with a different shoe that I'm excited to show you guys, and we have some other stuff throughout the rest of the week. But like I said, still trying to formulate all that. But hey, we're into the final stretch right now. I mean, today's the 20th. We missed the 19th. It is what it is. But we're back with something, so it's all good. I appreciate y'all's support. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Have a great start to your week. Start the day off right tomorrow. Whereas, waking up in the morning, making your bed, or waking up in the morning, making your bed, getting the gym, getting the work day going. Whatever your case may be for yourself, tack the day like no tomorrow. I love you guys. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll see you around later. Peace. This cat's distracting me. Stop that. Go on somewhere. Compared